streamed. I just did not get around to streaming. I was just doing a lot of things like after I uploaded all those videos, last night, and I was talking about all this stuff, and it's just been like kind of a big deal, honestly. Like what's been happening over the past 24 hours. We got that Star Fox Direct out of nowhere, and all of a sudden we have a pack Switch 2 release schedule. Okay, we got Splatoon Raiders, we got Star Fox, we got Yoshi, we got Rhythm Heaven, and I imagine it's only going to be a matter of time until we get like confirmation for Fortune's Weave and Duskbloods. It's going to be very very interesting to kind of see what the how the situation develops and like how the situation develops and those shit. Yeah. So like we have to see like how the situation develops and like what comes of this and what the copes are going to be, because it's very very interesting kind of seeing what's happening with this game, because the immediate reaction for everyone was to like try and downplay it. Okay, everybody was pissed about this announcement because Nate the Hate was wrong, everything he said about this release was wrong. um and now you have a lot of people like pretending this is like some big major like misstep for Nintendo. I actually have my Nintendine video on my tablet here, and I thought we were gonna watch it. I think the sound will be close enough where like you can hear it too. So we'll see if that'll work.
What's up, folks? Was Nintendo wrong?
Yes,
Technically, no.
you're wrong.
They said the game was going to be announced in April. I had a video discussing about whether or not the game might come out, and it was a grander discussion about leaks in general. In fact, right about 4 minutes into the video, this is exactly what I said. And there is still hope that he is somebody that can continue to be relied on as a credible source if a Star Fox game indeed does get revealed and does end up coming out.
No, no, no. Okay, okay, okay. So this is my thing. Okay, because Nate the Hate was completely wrong. Like, what people have to understand is that Nate the Hate, like all of these people, does not have insider sources at Nintendo. What he has access to is retailers and like what those guys are getting. So, like, Nintendo announced Star Fox out of nowhere, but retailers are already putting up their advertising materials. Like, that's why we get these discrepancies. And Nintendo thought it was going to be a Nintendo Today announcement. It was a Nintendo Direct. He thought it was going to be a new game, but it is in fact a remake, like of 64, right? Like Nintendo was completely wrong, and the idea that like, oh well, we're going to get a new Star Fox game, like that came about because of the movie. Okay, like that's just the reality of this, is that they were probably making moves to like market this game immediately after the movie was announced, and then like Nate the Hate caught wind of it. Like he's not an insider is my point. Like Nate the Hate is a complete fraud, and anyone who takes him seriously should be ignored. But anyway,
it's kind of up in the air. And then right around 8.5 minutes into the video, I said this. If Star Fox was indeed coming out this summer, like it would have to be announced basically tomorrow, or at least like Tuesday, because that's usually when Nintendo randomly drops their information. But obviously, those of you that actually listen to my videos and follow along already know that.
What?
The other thing that I think is worth bringing up, and I'm not bringing this up as like a gotcha to say that Nate the Hate was wrong, but just before 20 minutes into his podcast, when the big news broke about a Star Fox game coming, Nate the Hate said that the Star Fox game would be brand new.
Oh,
Specified Ocarina of Time would be remake, and Star Fox would be a brand new game.
Nintendo's on my side on this one.
At least on the Star Fox angle. Because, as many of you know by now, the new Star Fox title is another Star Fox 64 retelling, which, in and of itself, was a retelling of the first Star Fox from the SNES.
Okay, that is completely fucking wrong. Okay, like this retardation has to stop. Like, cause I've been talking about this for like ever since Zero came out. There is this weird idea among the masses, among like the fake Star Fox fans, that like somehow like everything is a remake of something else. So like The way they tell it is that like Zero was a remake of 64 and that 64 was a remake of Star Fox and that we've never gotten like a completely original Star Fox game, which is like obviously completely retarded if you've like actually played these games. Like again, I've seen a lot of these guys kind of tell on themselves about like how little they actually know about the series. Max Dude, you know, he came out, he was like reacting to it live, and he's watching the Pigma thing, and he's like, wait a minute, Pigma's a bad guy. Like, keep in mind, he earlier in the stream he tried to claim he was like a huge fan of the original Star Fox 64 and how that was like his all-time favorite N64 game. It's like these guys are just posers. Like they really truly are.
So naturally, this disappointed quite a few people. But there is a lot to talk about this that's more than just a discussion on the fact that it's yet another port, remake, or remaster for
What?
Nintendo, making it the 13th game since the start of 2025 that falls under the category of just another re release. One of
What
the
a
biggest.
fucking retard. What a fucking retard. So he's gonna lump in like remakes with remasters with ports to try and like push this cope that like, oh, Nintendo's not putting out anything new. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is like a completely overhauled game. It has like a new online multiplayer. It has an achievement system. It has new story cutscenes. Like, it's doing plenty new. Like, calling it a remaster or even a remake on the same level of Ocarina of Time 3D, that's not really accurate to it.
Talking points that's come about, more specifically over in the Twitter space, is about the visuals of the title. Now, I'd say as a whole, the game looks good. In fact, I like the way it looks. I'll be upfront about it. There are a lot of criticisms that could be made that it looks like an Unreal Engine asset flip. I would actually be open to a discussion about how it would look better as a maybe more of a cell shaded title. And I completely understand why so many people think of this as like a PS4 era game that's trying to be realistic.
What?
Did it need to be? And
PS4 era. I love how we treat the PS4 era like it's like outdated now. Like, oh man, PS4 era visuals. Ah,
frankly, I think those are all very valid criticisms, especially when you think about it from like a cost versus effort situation. But it does look good, at least in my eyes, it does. And I don't think it's very controversial to say. And I'm somebody that absolutely adores Star Fox 64 and Star Fox 64 DS, spending ample time on the original when I was a child and buying Star Fox 64 DS day one on the 3DS. So in case
yes,
anybody keeping tab,
Star Fox 64 DS on the 3DS. What a fucking retard! It's Star Fox 64 3D. You retard. He doesn't even know the name.
this joins the rank of Donkey Kong Bonanza as the type of game that I definitely would buy if I ever grabbed a Nintendo Switch 2 down the line. Not that I wouldn't buy anything else. I mean, I'm sure I would get a hold of Kirby Air Riders as well, but it wouldn't be as high on my list as Bonanza and now this Star Fox game, unless, of course, they find a way to absolutely screw up Star Fox 64 somehow, which is still not out of the realm of possibility.
What?
Now, there is a discussion that should be had about the fact that this is an on-rail shooter from the 90s being released in 2026, right? Because this is a straight remake. Like, the stages look the same as they did before, at least as far as layouts are concerned. It seems like they squeezed in a few different secret paths. There's a little bit of a prologue added, a multiplayer mode, but I mean, they had four-player multiplayer on the Nintendo 64.
What?
So that concept is entirely.
What are you talking about? Like the multiplayer in N64 was bare bones and boring. This looks a lot more fleshed out and interesting. What's he talking about?
But as far as the main beef of this game is concerned, it's Star Fox 64 with a fresh coat of paint on it. A very fresh coat of paint. Too fresh in some instances. Now, I'm actually very satisfied that this game was not released in 2025. Because back in 2025, this absolutely would have dropped as a $70 title.
Oh, okay. Cope. Okay, so this is like one of those crazy things that the industry is trying to pull right now. Is that okay? So last year they were pushing this narrative that like the Switch 2 was too expensive, the games were too high priced, that the very and this year they were trying to push this line that like the variable pricing was a myth and that we weren't going to see cheaper games. And then all of a sudden, we got Yoshi confirmed at a lower price point. We got Star Fox confirmed at a lower price point. Rhythm Heaven confirmed at a lower price point. Like, obviously, the variable pricing thing was real. So now we're trying to see like the grifters try and like damage control it. And what they're trying to do is that they're trying to say that like the backlash hurt Nintendo's bottom line. and so they're lowering the prices for games that they think won't sell. So instead of like doing what they said they were going to do ahead of time, these are panic sales. They're lowering the price like we're winning, guys. It's just, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Very easily would have been part of the discussion about, just a game that's not really going to move units the same way that Hyrule Warriors, Kirby Air Riders, and especially Metroid Prime 4 didn't
What?
quite get that job done either. I think there would be
What?
a lot more focus on the fact that it's just simply a rail shooter from the 90s that's being resold again for $70, and that would have caused the game a massive backlash mixed in with all of the Switch 2 backlash that was already happening, and it largely would have been because of the price of the title.
What?
Fortunately, over this last year, however,
He's straight up coming up with like some alternate historic history scenarios. Like, oh yes, if this game came out in 2025, and they just re-released the game again at $70, it wouldn't have done very well. Like, what are you talking about, you fucking retard?
Nintendo has absolutely been humbled by their pathetic sales numbers for all these games that don't have
What?
the word Pokemon in the title. And I'm
What?
still waiting for my thank you letter from the Nintendo fans because this game is going to be released at $50.
So Nintendo is gonna take like responsibility for this? Like, oh yes, I lowered the price point. Like, no, Nintendo, you didn't do shit. Okay, you didn't do shit. Like, unbelievable.
Digital, and you'll get the physical tax of $10 to make it $60. And I would still argue that $60 is too much for a game that you could literally play the original Nintendo 64 version on the same console with the levels being the same layout with the same button controls and everything. But fortunately, because retailers are not nearly as greedy as Nintendo, also they have a much better grasp on what's able to be sold in their stores.
What?
I'm expecting the pattern of retailers deciding to match the physical sales price with the digital sales price to continue on through this generation. So if the physical Star Fox game is being sold at $50 in places like Walmart and Amazon and the like, I would say $50 for this game, similar to Splatoon Raiders, for a physical version is just about acceptable. But it is entirely possible that I'm only saying that because I am a massive fan of the game, and I'm a massive fan of the IP, and I'm happy to see Star Fox reappear. I would actually completely understand if there was an uproar from the indie game scene because this game is being sold at $50. I'm
Ah,
willing to bet most people that are excited about this game, specifically most Nintendo fans that are excited about this game, have only ever played two other rail shooters in their life,
what?
and both of them were Star Fox titles.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Okay, you're gonna see Star Fox absolutely rape like Wild Blue Horizons or whatever the fuck the industry is writing. Like, again, this is gonna be a really interesting thing to see happen because we've seen a lot of like coping the past couple of years about how indie games are going to replace Nintendo and how Nintendo's doomed and stuff like that. You're going to see firsthand how that's not going to fucking happen. Because Star Fox has come out of hiatus, it's getting a brand new game, and it's going to demolish all of its immediate competition. Like Metroid Prime 4 did indeed outperform Silk Song, and that's kind of weird. Considering like the narrative, like, well, Silk Song it sold all these units. Like, it was a meme game. Okay, it's not going to get a sequel. It's not going to get a follow up. Like, the simple fact of the matter is, Metroid is going to stay relevant longer than Silksong. But anyway,
let's call it diversified experience with not only rail shooters, but just, video games in general and haven't been tied to Nintendo for most of their life, I would completely understand if they viewed this as just another lazy Nintendo title. I've seen some discussions already about people talking about how much rail shooters has evolved over time.
like
How
what?
much better bang for your buck you could
Name a single rail shooter that's as good as Star Fox 64. Like, name a single one.
get with just another indie game. And I think I totally understand where they're coming from, but and maybe I'm part of the problem here. As a Star Fox fan and a Nintendo fan, I'm not really interested in playing a real shooter that's not Star Fox. So does nostalgia play an effect here?
What?
Absolutely. But as a $50 first party Nintendo title, if I got the physical card, I would say that's worth it. So yeah, I've been told a lot that I would never give credit to Nintendo if they released good games at good prices. But the reality is pretty much the entirety of last year's lineup, including Pokemon Legends CA, These games, if they were capped off at $50, I would be singing a very different tune. In fact, with Walmart and the like matching Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, while I still would not get the game for $60 physical, I wouldn't necessarily be as disappointed in Nintendo fans throwing their money at Nintendo because, Walmart is selling it for $60 physical. So I think we're moving towards better prices for software games, but I also do not want to speak too soon about this matter because out of nowhere, Nintendo could announce a major Switch 2 game, which I don't think they've done so recently, and we very well could be looking at that
They did
$70 to $80 price tag yet again.
they just did. They just announced a major Switch game. Nintendo, like what a cope, what a cope.
Yeah. And Nintendo has yet to backtrack on their prices from the previous games that launched between November and February this year. So I don't really have that much confidence that these aren't simply more than just exceptions to the norm. An almost direct one-to-one level layout Nintendo 64 game Star Fox remake is not enough to give me confidence. A Yoshi caliber book that Nintendo is still on their website selling for $70 is not enough to give me confidence. And the same feeling goes for a spin-off of a Splatoon game. So yeah, I think it's good that Nintendo was humbled and it forced them to drop the prices of these titles, but I don't know if that's going to be very normal going forward once they start announcing bigger games again. But to reel it back into the Star Fox discussion, no, I think if this game is being sold by Walmart and Amazon and the like for $50, which I think very likely that it will be, then I would say that's excellent value for your dollar. I don't know what to tell you. I'm still a Nintendo fanboy at the end of the day. And even at $60, yeah, I wouldn't buy it on day one, but I would understand if others did. But for me, that $60 price tag would have been reserved if it was actually a brand new Star Fox title, or perhaps even a re release of Star Fox Zero just with modernized controls.
What?
Because I think that's what most people had wanted. That's kind of what I had hoped, to be honest.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So we're seeing this kind of weird. Okay. So we're seeing the attempts by Nintendo to do this thing where he's like, "Oh, actually, I've always loved Star Fox Zero. I've been a huge fan of Star Fox Zero." Bro, 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 bro. I was there. Okay, I remember being the only person on YouTube coming out and saying that, like, yeah, Star Fox Zero, it's my game of the year. It's the best game ever made. The controls are great. Nobody else said that. So, like, Nintendo's attempts
and seemingly
at like
reactions by so many people out there.
oh wait,
Others
Nintendo's attempts at doing this thing where he's like, well, actually, I'm a big fan of Star Fox Zero. No, you're not actually. You're not a fan of Star Fox Zero.
The same way. But from a business standpoint, I think this is a lot safer of a bet from Nintendo. Star Fox has been very dormant. The only million seller that they've had ever since 2002 was Star Fox 64 DS, or Star Fox 64 3D rather. And even then, a big reason why it did actually manage to cross that million seller mark was because it was a Nintendo Select title. Despite Fox McCloud's popularity in Smash Bros., this is a very niche franchise. And I really wish
I
they
wouldn't
would
say
have
that.
revisited it back in like the midlife of the Switch 1 era when every single game was hitting, between at least 6 million to 10 million units, because that probably would have
It's not even
motivated
true, but
Nintendo to bring out like a brand new Star Fox game for the Switch 2. And it seems like the general conversation throughout most of the community is that they hope that this game ends up selling well because it means that Nintendo will release a new Star Fox game. But I'm just not very optimistic on that fact, especially with how slow development cycles are. Like, are they going to see how this sells and then determine in a year from now that they want to start making another Star Fox game and then drop a new one in a decade from now? I don't know. It feels like major hopium from the fandom. And while many people think that Star Fox's popularity in the Galaxy movie could, make this game take off and sell very well, I guess it's entirely possible, but it's largely going to depend on how well this game reviews and just in general how well the word of mouth of this title is. We could very easily be seeing another.
like nobody cares about the reviews. Like, yeah. How well is Star Fox 64 going to review? Like, it's seen as one of the best games ever made. Like, this is just a giant cope at this point. Like, is the movie gonna move units? Is it gonna review well? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think? If like critics come out and shit on this game, it's going to like cause a riot. Like it's just not going to work. They can't complain about the price point. They can't complain about the gameplay because it'll just expose them as scrubs. Like I don't understand this mind. Like the game will it review well? Yeah, it will. Like
Metroid Prime 4 situation, especially because, this is a franchise that's more popular with Western markets. And so far, with the Switch 2, the games that are more popular in the Eastern markets are the ones that are doing better. Now, in fairness, Star Fox is not nearly as lopsided as the Metroid fandom. I think the Japanese markets tend to love Star Fox more than they love the Metroid games as far as like proportions go from East versus West, but my point still stands. There's also a bit of a discussion to be had about how and when this game was revealed. So at this point in time, I'm actually very satisfied that Nate the Hate was right. And I'm
No, he
hoping
was
whatever
wrong.
source he has for Nintendo
Wrong.
news never disappears, because at this point, it just seems like he's the only hope for people who want to know what's coming out in the future for Nintendo games.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. Okay, so Nate the Hate says like, "Oh, we're getting a new Star Fox game like a month ahead of time." Whoop de fucking do, whoop de fucking do. Like, again, this is the problem with the game. The announcement would have been so much more hype if it wasn't like bogged down by all these idiot grifters like, oh, Nate the Hate is right. They're not talking about the actual game. And this is a reason why Nate the Hate is a fucking faggot and needs to like get bent. Like he needs to just fuck off. That like it just completely ruins like people's reactions to this game because people aren't being honest about how they feel about the game. They want to talk about Nate the Hate and they want to legitimize him going forward and like getting more Nintendo leaks out of him. It's retarded.
Idea that Nintendo drops a direct a month and a half prior to the launch of a new Star Fox game. Shadow drops the direct, no less. Like, as nice as a surprise that it would be sometimes to have no heads up about a game that you might be spending, some money on in a month from now, I actually despise this method. Having a quick 1 month turnaround like this, 1.5 months turnaround for a release like this, just highlights how much they're going after FOMO chasers, people that can't control themselves, people that have to jump in with the hype. It feels like Nintendo's afraid that if they had announced this game back in January, for example, it would have given people the whole 6 months to talk about how is it really worth dropping this money on yet another Star Fox 64 remake? Whereas now they're kind of hoping that, like, just on a whim, real quickly, the game gets announced, pop, 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 pre-ordered, and then
Yeah, so that I've actually noticed this too. Like it feels like they're avoiding what happened with the Zero situation because with Zero, what happened is that like game journals made their minds up about the game before it actually came out, and they spent like the entire period up to launch like down damage controlling it and saying it was the worst thing ever. This is them like avoiding that from happening.
purchase by everybody without thinking. It's a real time reflection of the Mario Galaxy movie, the way they did that. Have people focus on something shiny for about 30 seconds and then quickly show them the next thing. I'm really hoping like true Nintendo Directs come back. None of this like single game direct stuff. I guess you can have single game directs still, but you need the mainline beefy directs. And I genuinely hope people are right and it does come in June. Otherwise, it could be very disappointing. Especially when you consider that usually, let's say Star Fox was announced during a general direct. For anybody that doesn't care about Star Fox, or maybe they're disappointed that it's another Star Fox 64 remake, there could have been potentially something else that was shown during that general direct to keep them excited or give them something to look forward to for their console. But for the crowd that either is disappointed that it's another Star Fox 64 remake, or the crowd that doesn't really care about Star Fox and was not interested in buying this type of game, not only is it disappointing because it's just a game that they don't want to buy, but it's also disappointing because now with Nintendo dropping a Star Fox Direct today, there's going to be a fairly sizable gap in time until the next big announcement comes through.
What a fucking retard. Like, we've been getting directs all year. Like, I don't understand the coping about this. Like, we got the Splatoon Raiders announcement, we got the Rhythm Heaven announcement, we got like, the Yoshi and the Mysterious Book like overview trailer, we got the third party partnership, we got the Indie Direct partnership. Like, we've gotten a ton of announcements this year. This idea that like they're not talking about upcoming releases is just straight up wrong. And like it really does need to like his entire hypothetical, like, well, what if you don't care about Star Fox? Then play another one of the games that are coming out. Or maybe you'll like try Star Fox. Like again, people need to get out of this mindset that like people can only look forward to like one thing on a console. That doesn't make any sense.
Whatever that may be. And perhaps this is just Nintendo's way of trying to combat how poorly the last two directs went,
What?
specifically the one in April and the one in September.
What?
Sorry about that, Nintendo. But another
What?
good solution to this issue, instead of just doing away with the direct altogether, or
Yeah, I love how Nintendo used to get like video views in like the 600,000s. And now he can barely crack like 20,000. Like he's fallen off hard. He has fallen off hard.
At least having a 10-month gap between two directs is to just have good directs. Tell the people what they want to hear. The backlashes, basically in both directs, have been about prices. Both the April and the September directs actually were not really hated during the direct itself. It was after the direct when everybody saw the price of the Switch 2.
No, that's a cope. That's a cope.
Slapped onto Mario Kart World.
That's a cope.
Price tag slapped onto Welcome Tour that disappointed people. And then in September, it was the $70 price tag for the Mario Galaxy bundle, in addition to learning that the game that just came out, Donkey Kong Bonanza, the flagship title for the Nintendo Switch 2, which was only a couple of months old at the time, was going to have $20 DLC, which should have been free, and the upcoming
No,
title was
no, 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 no. Don't even give me the Emerald Rush DLC in Bonanza is like longer than the base game itself. Like, what is this bullshit? The DLC should have been free. No, the DLC was phenomenal. Like, what are you talking about? Pokemon Winds and Waves reveal was a bad day for Nintendo. Yeah, he's not bringing that up, is he? Like, he's not bringing that up at all. Like, it's just like we're at the point now where there's so many games coming out that you can't possibly like gaslight people into thinking that like there's nothing on the console. So like, yeah, what do we have here? Let's see. We have the I pre-ordered Star Fox already, by the way. Let's see. Yeah, coming soon. We have yeah, Indiana Jones. Where's Yoshi? Yeah, Yoshi's there. Yeah, Indiana Jones and Yoshi, Tales of Arise. Yeah, picking that up as soon as I get caught up on Tales. Lollipop Chainsaw. It's the Switch 2 version, so it's getting a $5 upgrade patch. So yeah, yeah, we're getting like Final Fantasy VII next month, and yeah, The Adventures of Elliot, which I also have pre-ordered. Rhythm Heaven. No, Star Fox. Yeah, and then Rhythm Heaven in July. Let's see. Yeah, Splatoon Raiders in July, MGS in August, Madden 27 in August. So we already have the new Madden. That's a mainstay now. Uh, Mina the Hollower in the rest of the year. Yeah, Minecraft Dungeons 2. Like yeah, and then like 2027 Pokemon Winds and Waves. So we're getting a lot of games announced actually. So like this idea that like oh we don't have anything to play like shut up Nintendo. You don't know what you're talking about.
one $30 DLC. How about stop doing that? If we actually got a February Direct earlier this year that talked a little bit about the upcoming Pokemon Pokopia, it went through Yoshi,
Why?
Mysterious Wood,
Why?
talked about Splatoon Raiders and Star Fox, and
But like Nintendo, we did do that. Like we did talk about all those games. You know, we got the Pokemon announcement on Pokemon Day. We got the Yoshi overview trailer. We got the Splatoon Nintendo Today announcement. Like not getting a general Nintendo Direct is fine considering how loaded the schedule is.
Tamagotchi Life and the like. And then during those directs, you're like, oh, hey, just FYI, Star Fox, Yoshi, and Splatoon, those are not going to be $70 games. Well, Yoshi is physically, but, you know, if you just had dropped the price of to $60 physical, plus, you know, give people a heads up about what one or two of the major games that are going to be coming out in the second half of 2026, there wouldn't be the same type of backlash that you got back in September as well as back in April. But as is typical, when something bad happens for Nintendo, they always seem to learn the wrong lesson. So in their minds, they're like, oh, the stock value and the reactions for the last two directs have affected our shareholders and affected our investors.
No, they haven't.
Okay,
Okay.
Do things.
So like the shareholder thing needs to stop. Okay, like because people think the shareholders have more influence over Nintendo than they actually do. Like Nintendo is doing massive stock buybacks right now. You know, the reason why they're taking their stock price is so they can take the stock back and give these people less influence. Like I think people are really underestimating like how under control the shareholders are. The idea that they have the influence to like demand Nintendo to raise prices is laughably stupid. Actually, we need to go over that. Actually, we need to talk about that. That'll probably be what we talk about next. Actually,
Speaking of which, I find it hilarious that they decided to announce and shadow drop the Star Fox trailer directly before the Japanese market reopens for the first time since like Golden Week for the holiday.
No, you fucking retard. The financial report is today. Like they're going over their financial reports today. So like it's like what are you talking about? Like oh like it's just like no, shut up.
Because you just know they were hoping that the Star Fox announcement would have taken it on like a rally and move it upwards. And that's why we got a freaking direct at 6 p.m. Eastern
Like
time. But the market
they don't
it opened and it continued to reach yet another 52-week low. So clearly, Star Fox, at least for the investors, is not the angle that they were looking for. And finally, to wrap up this whole discussion in a nice
the whole investor cut needs to stop. I'm so sick of hearing about it.
just the general look of this game is visually pleasing. There are a whole lot of people clowning on the character models. And yes, I am one of them. I think these are absolutely awful. They look like an
I've gotten used to them.
generating furry filter that was just slapped on top of the Star Fox Zero models, maybe. It gives me a lot of that same uncanny, jarring vibe that I got when I watched the first live action Lion King movie back in like 2019. It gave me a lot of that same discomfort that I got the first time I saw the ugly Sonic the Hedgehog model. I mean, Slippy, should remember the soulless eyes that Conquer Live and Reloaded had? Take that and multiply it by 1,000,000 and you get this scary thing. Peppy looks like he's got his fur stuck up his nose and can't breathe properly. Fox's posture, if he was on all fours,
That's James, you idiot.
maybe, but not when he's standing on 2 feet. And speaking of feet, man, was this really necessary? That's all I'm asking. I think these are the worst character models that we've seen for Nintendo characters, bar none. And it's not only such a downgrade from what we saw in Star Fox Zero, it's a downgrade from what we saw of Star Fox in the Galaxy movie. And the worst part is,
I agree.
Direct, they showed the Star Fox from the Galaxy movie. Like, it was right there. And then you move on to this thing, and it's just like such a massive whiplash going from here to here so quickly. I don't hate the models enough to care that much about when the game actually comes out because you spend most of the game inside an R-Wing anyway. But it seems like this is what happens when you give Nintendo PS4 levels of power. It's like giving the keys of a 2012 Toyota Camry to a 15-year-old and telling them to go learn how to drive without giving them instructions.
What?
No, there's no question about it. They decided to take a risk. It seems like they're trying to try out some kind of real-life filter. I would not be surprised if it's something that NVIDIA is testing out, and I just do not think this is landing at all. There are people who are trying to defend it and be like, oh, the character models, they're like the puppets from the SNES game. This is how I know you guys are tourists. And I gotta say that I have heard a lot of very foolish things said by Nintendo fans over the last year or so. In a sea of foolish comments, that might actually be the most foolish of them all.
What a retard. What are you talking about? Those are
characters aren't even standing in the same order that they were.
Oh, they're not standing in the same order? Wow, yeah, that totally proves they weren't based on the puppets. Like, what are you talking about?
With the puppet models. And those models were puppets. There was nothing puppety about this. These are just realistic looking animals with a little bit of Star Fox paint on it. And Slippy's so wet, it's kind of gross, to be honest. Then I guess he's like slimy because he's a frog, but still, it's weird. And then like Falco, ugh. And like I don't want to harp on these models too much. That's what Twitter's for. I am Nintending YT on Twitter, by the way, in case you're interested.
Come on, nobody's
Anyway,
gonna follow you,
what I'll
guys.
say is that I did not like Star Fox's appearance in the Galaxy movie. I liked
Oh,
how he looked.
bullshit.
I didn't like his character the way that it was portrayed. Outside of like a couple of appearances and some of the GameCube games, I always felt that Star Fox was a lot more stoic in nature, but he kind of gave off major Yamcha vibes.
Oh, come on.
Dragon Ball Z, you know what I mean. Kind of a DB, if you catch my drift.
What?
But I would gladly take that Yamcha version of Star Fox with his character and all just packaged in together, as long as we got that visual instead of what we're seeing here for Star Fox 64. I'm very intrigued to see like a more technical breakdown of this game. I'm wondering if there's just like a weird filter slapped over the entirety of the environments. I'm curious to see how many shortcuts were taken by Nintendo in order to get this out, or if there was something that they actually put time and effort in and delivered it. Either way, I would say despite my minor complaints about some of this stuff here, and again, this could entirely be because of nostalgia, but I would say that this is a W for Nintendo. It's a good announcement at a good price if the retailers actually price match that $50 digital, which I'm I'm hoping they do. Would I buy a Switch 2 because Star Fox and Bonanza are games? No, I still have no intention of buying this console anytime soon. As time goes on, the Switch 2 is becoming clear to me that it's a console that I'm more likely to pick up at the end of its
Oh,
lifespan to
come
play
on.
through all of the Switch 2 titles that I
Come
want
on.
to play through. Obviously, grabbing both the console and the games all pre owned by that point in time, ideally
What?
the clearance rack from the bargain bin, just like how the previous $70 games from last year have ended up this year. But at the very
Oh,
least,
yeah, sure. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Nintendo has effectively put out two games that really do interest me, that I do look forward to playing eventually. I'm just not really in a rush to play them yet.
I know, right? Yeah, that really bothers me. So like he legit like we're talking about Max Dude by the way. So Max Dude legit comes out and he's like, "Oh man, Star Fox 64. It's my all-time favorite N64 game." And then you watch it and then he does this thing where he's like, "Pigma's a bad guy?" I'm just like, "Really? Fucking really?" Well, I care about the character models. I actually agree with that take. I hate the way these look. I much prefer the zero model.
That's all I really have for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will
Like
catch
they're
you
too overly
next time.
realistic. Like it doesn't work. Like I would have liked an anime style better. I would have liked the old Muppet look better. Like anything would have been better than this. Like this weird pseudo realistic puppet bullshit. Adventure looks really good. Adventure I think is a really good example of like what this game isn't doing because like the models are really realistic, but they're still like appealing and they still like look good. Like there's just something unsettling about the way the characters look in this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we need to talk about Tagashi Mochizuki next because I really probably should make a video about this. But I suppose this is the kind of like daily thing. Hang on, let me tweet this out. Okay. So yeah, yesterday, just before the Star Fox announcement, Tagashi Mochizuki came out again out of hiding to claim that like investors were mad at Nintendo for not raising the price of the Switch 2. And this was all anybody could talk about because this has been like a defining cope among like Nintendo haters is this idea that like the Switch 2 price is going to go up and they're going to make everything more expensive. And now we've seen the exact opposite where the upcoming releases are less expensive. Like games like Star Fox are releasing at $50. Yoshi's releasing at $50. Like all the major games this summer are lower budget games. Okay. They're being a hit they're being affected by the variable pricing on the lower scale. The entire cope that things would get more expensive is like completely falling apart. But that was not the narrative. Like the narrative was that investors were pissed at Nintendo for not raising the price of their consoles, and it just doesn't feel like it's a real thing. I didn't actually read the article this time because Takashi Mochizuki has been blacklisted by this channel, the Harmon Smith Show. So I don't really take anything he says seriously anymore. Like everything he said over the past couple of years has been verifiably fake. But like, yeah, the fact that like he tried to do this just before their financial briefing, I think says a lot. Where the industry is desperate to downplay Nintendo Switch 2. Like I saw a lot of people come out and they tried to do this thing where they try to tell people that like, oh yes, I am. Uh, People came out and what was I gonna say? Um, they came out and they tried to say that like the investors were gonna like force this and that they were pushing it and that the stock price would somehow like negatively affect Nintendo and it's just so laughably stupid. Like the simple fact of the matter is the reason why Nintendo stock price is going down is because Nintendo doesn't like give investors enough. They're not they don't give out particularly high dividends. There's no reason to stick with them long term. Like they're not a particularly investor friendly company. Like, you're not going to make a ton of money by investing in Nintendo. And that's why people are pulling out. That is different than saying that Nintendo is doing poorly or they're not moving units. Actually, I would say that like what they're doing is actually a good thing in that they're not attracting the intention of investors like BlackRock or whatever, and that they're like exerting more and more control over the shareholders to the point where like I don't think they'll ever have that much control or influence over the company. Like again, this has been like a reoccurring cope for a long time, but like it does feel as if people don't understand like how this actually works. Third parties have no downward flexibility in pricing. Yeah, so that's going to be the thing. Like, this is the thing people don't understand is that Nintendo came out with an $80 price point, and people said that, like, oh, that's the standard for Switch 2. Nintendo's gone too far. They're too expensive. I'll never support Switch 2 because of this. And then, like, over a series of releases, their prices have slowly gone down. We went from 70 to 60, and now we're at like fucking 50. And meanwhile, we're on the verge of like Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out and like admitting that they're going to sell their game for like $80 or $90 or $100. Like, the main characters of the gaming industry really think they're going to come out like and like normalize like higher price games. And the industry is going to damage control that, but what that's going to do is that there's going to be a huge divide between Nintendo and like the third parties where the third parties like try and spike their prices, they try to inflate them, but it's like it's gonna result like it's gonna be a repeat of what happened in the GameCube era, where Nintendo is selling their games for the Game Boy Advance, for the DS, for the GameCube, for the Wii at like a significantly lower price than the competition. And they're going to sell more, and they're going to be more popular, and they're going to be better games. And unlike last time, where like the entire cope was that like, oh, these are more mature games, better graphics with online play, that makes them better. Like there's not going to be as big of a divide as there was back then. So it's going to be a fucking bloodbath. Like Game Pass is driving Xbox out of business. I know people are doing the damage control arc where they say that like they're going to salvage it. Yeah. So what they did is that they spiked the Game Pass price and then they brought it back down slightly by like $7 and then they tried to say that was an epic win for Microsoft. Like that's insane. Like that is insane. You're not going to win by doing that. You're not gonna like you're not gonna win by doing that. It's it it's just downright embarrassing how like the masses have just like delusionally pushed this idea that that Nintendo is struggling this generation. And I think that's going to be more apparent when like we actually get to competing with the PS6 and the Xbox Series X2. Okay, the Xbox Sex. Like it's like I I I can't believe that like we're on the verge of like the PS5 generation ending and Grand Theft Auto 6 like coming and going like a wet fart. Okay. People don't realize like how bad it's gonna be for the industry when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes and goes, and now suddenly there's like nothing to look forward to. Like people are overhyping Grand Theft Auto 6 so much. Like, I know people who are saying that like it's gonna be their last game ever. Like, yeah, I'm gonna buy Grand Theft Auto 6 and like play it for a decade until the next one comes out. That's not going to happen. Like, the simple fact of the matter is, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be disappointing when it comes out, and you're going to have to wait 20 years for Grand Theft Auto 7. The creators will be dead by then. Like, the team will be even more diversified and woke. And, like, there's just, like, culture is going to be different. Because I think we're going to see, like, a pretty major restructuring of society where, like, people start hating criminals. Okay, like I do think this is like the major cultural shift. You can kind of see this now with the whole rap thing. How like nobody's listening to rap anymore, and it's becoming more obvious that like it was always forced by the music industry, and everybody always preferred metal or country or like all the superior genres. Rap was like memed into relevancy by MTV just blasting it all the time, and the instant that like streaming services became a thing and people started listening to whatever they wanted, they started like listening to like actually talented people and not like whoever nepo baby like the music producers wanted to push that weekend, right? Like The music industry has actually gotten better for that reason. In like back in the 60s or whatever, you had to pretend that like the Beatles were great in order to get laid. And now it's like not really a thing, you know? Like they're just like no chick expects you to be a fan of Taylor Swift, you know? It's not the same culture at all. BLM killed rap. Yeah, there's a lot of things that killed rap, but I think like the long and short of it is that it just sucks. We can all talk about like the reasons rap died, but like the core reason is that it's just not something that was like ever good or ever like maintained relevancy. Like the simple fact of the matter is that rap fucking sucks and always did. Like I remember being a kid and like just cruising around, talking to chicks, and they do that thing where they're just like you listen to Eminem, and I'm just like, I prefer Skittles. And then they would get like mad at you. You know, it's like, I heard that so often is that like, how do you not know Eminem? He's the greatest. Like, he's the greatest rapper to ever exist. He's breaking stereotypes, man. He's a white rapper. Like, he's a degenerate and a drug addict. Okay. Like, that guy was a loser and still is a loser. And these days, everyone knows he's a loser. So it's like, yeah, like again, I was completely right about that. Like Skittles were better. So it's just like fuck Eminem. Uh, uh, let's see. Yeah, thanks Snoy. Thanks Quadratic. Yeah. So Game Pass is completely unviable, right? So everything I said about Game Pass came true, and it's definitely on death row, and it has been for like forever. But like, you just have these people that are just refusing to let the meme die. Like they're like the Sonic the Hedgehog fans of like online gaming services. They really are like the same caliber of people where they legit try and tell you it's like the best deal in gaming. Like you can get all these games for free, and I'm just like, you can just buy those games at a cheaper price. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, you have hundreds of games. Like, you don't. Okay, so here's why like Game Pass will never work. Nobody has fucking time to play all of these games. Like, you are better off just buying the one thing you want to play and then sticking with that. Like, having all these options and like no time to play it. Like, honestly, I would even argue that like that model doesn't work for Netflix, honestly. Like, the reason why Netflix works is because it keeps like consistently releasing new series that people like binge watch or whatever that you can just kind of do one at a time. Like, Netflix kind of functions, but it has the same problem where it has this entire backlog of shit that nobody cares about. I remember watching like this Alexander the Great documentary, and they immediately like try and segue into like the gay shit. And I just go like, nope, and then I watch something else, like I'm just kind of like, yeah, this isn't doing it for me. Not doing it for me. You are better off buying 6 to 7 Switch games a year. I know, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Game Pass is trash because it's literally for casuals. Yep. Extra money for drugs? Yeah, probably. Like it's like Xbox shills. It's people like Angry Joe who probably get the service for free just so they can shill it. Like that's kind of like I think the primary demographic for it. Like there's a reason you see so many streamers advocating for it. Is that like, it's something they can take advantage of to like push their nonsense onto people. But like our consuming habits don't represent the general gaming public. And I think this is something that like a lot of people don't understand is that if you're a streamer, like you're focused more on your stream and on your audience and you're on your analytics than you are on like actually playing games. Okay. So for like someone like Max Dude, like he knows that like people won't give a shit if like he doesn't pretend to be a Star Fox fan. So he comes out and he pretends to be a Star Fox fan. So people just don't immediately tune out of the stream. Um, like again, it's just like he's not engaging with it like an actual fucking person. Where like he looks at the designs and he like comes to his conclusion. Like he treats it like he's reading his audience basically. No hardware required. I don't know. I imagine that's going to be the future of Game Pass is that they just completely eradicate the Xbox hardware. I don't know. I don't understand why they even need the subscription service. I if I could just buy the games on Xbox, I mean, there's no benefit to it. You can just get a PC and play things on Steam. Really, it doesn't serve a purpose. None of these YouTubers give their genuine opinion. Well, like again, if they were honest, they would just do what DSP does and just sit there and like beg for super chats. Like, please give me money. I'm Dark Side Phil. I don't want to get a real job. Like, just like I'm too good for that. Like, I've never worked a day in my life. Like my last job, my daddy got for me. Like at the helicopter factory. It's just, come on. Nintendo is pressured by investors. So that's the cope right now is that Nintendo is going to be forced to raise their prices on their hardware because of the demands of the investors. And I imagine this is going to come up during like the investors meeting. I don't know when the next one is. I think the financial briefing is today or tomorrow. So like I don't know when the next investors meeting is coming up, but I'm sure it's going to come up like relatively soon. But like yeah, when it does happen, we'll see a lot of people RGT it like the Star Fox Direct. Yeah, he's a fucking poser. So like, yeah, that's actually what I'm talking about. So RGT 85, we actually did a live reaction to like his Star Fox video, and I noticed immediately that like what he said in the video and in the reaction were like completely different. Cause like in the video where he was talking about the Nate the Hate leaks, like he said that he specifically did not want a rehash of 64. Like that was the thing that he 100% did not want was like another 64. And what do we get? Like a remake of 64. But is RGT 85 mad? No, because he understands that pretending to be excited is going to get him more clicks and more views. Okay, that's just the reality of it. Yeah, monetization just ruins like channels. I've kind of seen that happen to my channel, unfortunately, is that like I kind of make decisions based on like what's profitable. And like I am a full-time streamer now, so it's like a full-time content creator now right now. So it's like I kind of had to do it. I don't really want to. I'm kind of anxious to get out from it now. Like, please buy my book so I don't have to be a live streamer. Please get me out from this hell. Like, don't make me sell my soul. Okay. I don't think that needs to happen, but like um yeah, it does fuck with you. Like if this is your primary source of income, like you're always chasing that next milestone and getting more subs. Like, if you hit 400,000 subs, like you're like your next goal was 500,000. It's like it doesn't really stop really. And it's just like it just feels like kind of empty and pointless. Like I'm almost at 3,000 now and like I don't really give a fuck. Like I don't know. I feel like personally that I would have much preferred like keeping things the way they were when I was like working a normal job, you know, advancing in a real career and like everybody around me had to fuck me over. It was just embarrassing. It's just I am definitely very disappointed in how that turned out. But like I don't know. The books are like selling more and more. The Cat Don't Have Fangs is doing really, really well. Well, it's going to do very, very well. It's turning out very, very well. I hope it's going to be the best selling book I've ever done. We'll see. The Dream Warrior should come out fairly soon after that. Like, I don't know. I'm happy with like, because this is what I wanted, but like, I don't know. You do have to like kind of keep your audience in mind and like keep in mind like what they want to see from you and like you have to understand sometimes that like sometimes what they want isn't necessarily what's like the best thing to do because like all these people are unethical, like they're pretending to be excited for things that they don't care about. They're not being honest. They're not like creating compelling content and like it does impact them. It does. Yeah. I mean I got through the worst of it, I think. So like my numbers are up now. I'm getting a more steady audience. I'm comfortable enough doing a podcast again after like a bit of a hiatus. So like I mean my numbers are going up. YouTube memberships are actually like we might start doing like we might make the Saturday shows member exclusive actually. I was wondering if that might be like a viable thing to do. 'Cause I don't know, having like a members only stream. I don't know. It's just I'm having trouble like trying to decide what I want to do with memberships. I've been giving people like exclusive videos and the like, but it's just like we probably should do more than that. I don't know. It's like again, I have plenty of members, but like I'm kind of worried that like how many people are gonna show up. Honestly, it's just yeah. So right now, we just got to get the numbers for everything up. Memberships, Patreon, books, YouTube subs. Like we gotta get everything up. So like I am completely 100% like 100% like financially secure doing this doing what I'm doing because I am enjoying it. I'm having fun. I'm doing everything I want to do with my life. I'm writing books. The career thing is over. Okay, like I don't want to put myself in that situation again. I don't trust them. Everybody is just like unbelievably toxic. They won't train you or teach you anything. They want to blame you for everything, and it just isn't true. Like at all. And if it was true, I would be failing in my personal life, and that simply has never been the case. Like that's just the grim reality of it. I make more money than you. I pull more bitches than you. Like I bench more than you do. Okay? Like you're a fucking retard with a degree who sits at a desk and pretends to work. It's like I'm not impressed with you and I'm done with pretending as if like you're anyone respectable. Like you're just not. Like at your core, you are just scum, and that's kind of my mindset going into this. Is that like I think I'm kind of beyond the career thing now. I think I've kind of settled into what I want to do. It's just a matter of like getting to the point where like I can consistently pull in the money, uh, sustain myself. Actually, not even sustain myself. Like push that next level, like become a millionaire, and then kind of give back to the community. Because that's definitely something I was thinking of doing. Is that like at a certain point, I'd like to become a job creator, and start my own business. Producing my own merchandise. Producing like producing my own t-shirts, producing my own action figures, producing my own video games, right? Based on my projects. I'd like to do that. And this is how it all starts. This is all like how it begins. Like of like realizing that opportunity and that dream, and like I have the drive and the guts to do it. It's just a matter of like obtaining capital, and yeah, it is going to because it's going to happen because of your viewership, your support, and your love for my books, and to a lesser extent the YouTube channel. So yeah, go ahead, buy the books, support the Patreon, do everything you possibly can for me. Even if it's just like even like free Patreon supporters help me out a lot actually. Because that's where I post my book updates. So when the book is released, I'll post a link to it, and you'll be notified. So it's yeah, even free Patreon supporters help me a lot. So yeah, please, 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 like owning a house is a big deal. Yes, it is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Like again, everything is so affordable. Like if you don't have to rent and you don't have to deal with some asshole, like, well, I mean, I had to deal with my parents. Like it was actually more expensive for me to live with my parents than it was to like live on my own. Like that sounds ridiculous to anybody like I say it to, but like it really is true. Like they were fucking me over constantly. I would come home after a 12-hour shift, and they would like 12, was it 12 or 15? How much hours was I working? Yeah, yeah. I would come home after like a 12-hour shift. Yeah, we'll call it 12. And like, okay, time to get my groceries, and I look at like, all the food I had. in the fridge, completely gone. Like, in like, the span of time where I was gone, like, because nobody else was bringing food into the house, it's just like gobble, gobble, gobble. Like it would be like eaten or thrown out, like everything I would bring in. So I would blow like $200 on groceries and then it would just be gone. When I got back, it's, it was just like, it was embarrassing. It was pathetic. I tried to go to college, like, oh, like kept having problems because yeah, like because I was working so much. It was like it was a nightmare. Okay, it was a downright nightmare. Glad I'm through with that. Glad you're supporting me. But who would own in a fight? Yeah, I'm gonna say RGT. Like Nintendo looks like a fucking gooner. He looks like short fat otaku. He looks like one of those like weeb like okay. If you don't show yourself on camera, it's because you're a goony looking fuck. Like I've seen Nintendo. He looks weird. Okay, he's a weird looking dude. Parents should pay for college. Agreed. 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 There's no reason people can't pull themselves up. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, for me, it wasn't possible to become successful because of like how much my parents were fucking me over. And like it took like an extensive amount of time to like get away from them, cut them off completely, cut off like all their like methods of controlling me. Um, like it took forever to do that. So like again, like it wasn't because of my worth ethic or because of anything I was doing. Like it was entirely because of them specifically. So yeah, definitely. So yeah, definitely glad. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We're an hour in now. Yeah, time to call it quits. Okay, so I will see you all tomorrow. We'll probably discuss like more happenings in the community. We'll probably talk about more things happening, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.